Welcome everyone to Loud and Proud Orlando. Thank you so much for being live with us. We are about 30 people live. Appreciate your support. I'm here with John. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about today in a condensed way. So make sure that you subscribe to our channel if you're on YouTube. If you're on X, make sure you share the video. We kindly appreciate it. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to be discussing the loss of Orlando City 3-2 against Atlanta United at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We're going to be reviewing Chicago Fire at home, and we're going to be talking about score predictions. That's what we have in store for you guys today. So make sure that you're dropping your likes, your comments. It's a Wednesday night match. It was a derby. Um, you know, Pretty much it was a rivalry game. And it was a decent game for the number of goals. I mean, 5 goals. These are it's a game that for 65 to 70 minutes, I think Orlando had pretty much control of it. A lot of wasted chances. We'll discuss all of that. Definitely, Orlando had in 15 minutes, I believe they had already 2 goals up. It was a 2-1 lead. And then obviously, we're going to be talking about the red cards as well, that obviously changed the whole entire game. And I'm going to say this, there's a lot of things that people have said, and yes, you're entitled to your opinion and all of that, but you know, this was bad officiating, to me, from minute one. This is a referee that should not be officiating games for the Club World Cup or for the 2026 World Cup. But we'll discuss all of that and more. What Oscar said, what Oscar didn't say, the red card, how's that going to affect the game against Chicago? I'm here with John. John, what's up, my friend?
Good, man. I mean, not so good after yesterday, but I had a busy evening of work, so I actually managed to watch the first half, and then I had to go to work in the evening, so I didn't manage to watch the second half, and then I kind of pulled it up on my phone later and was like, "What happened?" So going back this morning and then watching the second half, kind of knowing what was coming, it was extra painful that last 20 minutes, man. It all just fell apart, and I feel like we played really well up until that point and could have got out of there with a 2-1 win on another day, but this one was not meant to be.
Yeah, for sure. And you said it on your social media as well, and I do want to accentuate what you said. You know, and this is the way I feel. Now, don't take it on John or on Paola. This is how I feel. If you want to come at me, you can come at me. You can invite me to your podcast or to your outlets if you do not agree. Um, but you said today, and this is really good data. We lost one away game out of 9 in May so far, and we have to look at the we have what Orlando has accomplished as a collective in total compared to last season, and I feel there's an upward trend. Yes, we got the L. Yes, there's tired legs. Yes, there's probably stupidity by Cesar Araujo. I felt honestly, I've watched a lot of soccer in South America, and that particular play, a lot of players get away with it there, but here, unfortunately, it's a complete different ball game. They're going to be analytical. They're going to be like Arthur. They're going to be with their little goggles here. They're going to be writing down their stuff. You know, and I think Cesar lost composure at that point. I do agree with everybody there. But if it wasn't for that red card, if it wasn't for Orlando, and I do want to say this, if it wasn't for Orlando going down 10 men, I believe Orlando would have scored a couple more there. And you know, again, the whole red card for Oscar and the whole Duncan waiting on the sidelines and all of that, we'll discuss in just a second. But it was a horrible game. Now, that's over. Orlando's still top five in the MLS, still within a really close distance from the number three seed or number one seed. There is a possibility of this to be a turnaround, especially at home. And so, we're going to be analyzing that. To me, from starters, I don't know to you, John, but to me, getting on the board early, getting on the score sheet early, it truly make a difference. I understand Cesar pooped the bed, maybe on that particular foul, but getting on the board early, weren't you surprised of that goal by Cesar Araujo?
Yeah, man. I mean, I tweeted out, Cesar banger is like the fourth minute of the game. And in hindsight, it's like we're celebrating him at the beginning of the game and then we're crucifying him at the end of the game.
Exactly.
It was a great shot. I got to say, as much as we're going to we're going to blame Schlegel for a lot of this today. Sorry, Cesar for this, but he did score a great goal and it was really well taken. And he went over the camera and celebrated, he did the baby for his wife and kids at home.
Yeah.
And it was a nice, start to the game. And he performing pretty well at the beginning of the game compared to, I feel like was it the Nashville game where he had a really poor game? He was a bit better against Portland. So I think I saw like an improvement from him and I was like, oh, Cesar looks really up for this one. And he did start really well. It's just a shame. And I know we probably don't want to talk about this yet, but I feel like so much of this game is just around that decision by him. I just think that
I agree.
It was emotional. And I think that's the thing Cesar is a very, he's a hothead. He's an emotional guy. And he's the kind of guy that something can just set him off and then he's not thinking clearly. And all of this happens so fast. And the fact that he gets shoved in the back, and if you go watch it and you think back to, if you think back to whenever you've been shoved from behind where you can't see the person coming, it probably comes as quite a shock to Cesar that he's just been pushed completely off the ball. Now his reaction is stupid and uncalled for and doesn't need to happen. Agreed. And if you put your hands to a player's neck, they're going to give it as a red card in MLS, no matter what happens. They're going to do it. It's MLS. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it's MLS. That's what's going to happen. And he knows better than that. So for me, the red card is fine. It's going to happen in this country. And he knows that he can't do that. And so that's the thing. He's learned this lesson before. Well, he hasn't learned his lesson, I guess, is the real issue. We've had this problem with Cesar before where he has disciplinary issues. And I'm sure the club has spoken to him and be like, you need to, keep your head together and not lose it. But as we all know, we can have those moments where just, blind rage covers you perhaps, or you just have those irrational reactions that are, you don't have logical thought in your head. And that's what it was. Like, do I think it was something we want to see all the time? No. Am I going to blame Cesar? Yes. Am I going to, call out the entire club for it? I don't think so. I feel like the club, they're not going around giving off the vibe to me like they're allowing this kind of thing to happen. That's not the situation. Yes, we have issues with some players, like people talking about Jansen and Schlegel and other guys in our team that, have moments like this too. But if you're not thinking that they're being told don't do that, then I think you're misunderstanding the situation. Players are emotional human beings. Sometimes they overreact because the heat of the game and there's so much passion and so much determination, and those emotions get driven into anger, and then you do something stupid. And I don't think the club is going around being like, it's okay, we're going to forgive you. Players get fines for getting these things. So he's getting monetarily fined. He'll have disciplinary conversations. The MLS is probably going to send him some disciplinary paperwork or whatever that is. So the idea that I think the club, apparently some people think that Oscar and the crew don't do enough to do this. Maybe there's some arguments to that, but how would we know? How would we know what is being said to these players about the way that they, conduct themselves around fouls or whatever else on the field that involves disciplinary action? We don't know that. So to assume that the club is soft on these guys, I think is a massive assumption. I don't think that's the case at all. And I think that Oscar has made it clear several times that these guys have to keep their cool, and César did not, and it's just a shame. But
There's
it comes
there
with the territory. He's that kind of player. It doesn't matter where he went to play, Luis. He would do that for any coach, under any coach, in my opinion.
there's several exaggerations on both sides, and I'm gonna say this. This is my opinion here. Several exaggerations on both sides. Yes, he thought he was gonna get away with this because and maybe for people that don't know, in Argentinian, Uruguayan soccer, in South American soccer, is common for when you get shoved. If you are the better team, if you're the team that's commanding the standings, which I will say it's Orlando City right now compared to dead last Atlanta, right? Um, Obviously, not even in playoff contention, Atlanta. Okay, it's kind of like I'm top dog, So typically, if you're smart, your environment, just like you said, and you take a step back, and then you can maybe act like you got hit, because Klitsch was also very hot. He was also a hothead. He came in to fuck with people. Sorry for my word, but he came to f with people.
Oh yeah, he
You know,
dark arts César,
right?
100%.
So he fell for it. Now, to me, and again, I'm not. It is a well-deserved red, but to me, Cesar didn't do the chokeslam from hell by Kane. He didn't do the last ride by the Undertaker. He didn't go and did the people's elbow. He didn't even did the Stone Cold Stunner. He literally put his hand on his neck, like this, like hey you. That's what it seems to me. Now, it's still a red, but again, Oscar's point, and again, yes, Orlando lost the game. We took the L, 110%. We should have taken advantage of our chances, and all of that was in the post press conference. We took the L, but I feel that also Klish, pushed, and that's what Oscar is complaining about. And then obviously after what happened with him and what happened with Duncan waiting outside on the sideline. So, but Cesar needs to be better than that. Cesar needs to know he's been playing in the league for 2 seasons or more, and he needs to know that refs here may not have the acumen or the degrees that maybe Uruguayan or Argentinian refs will have when it comes to soccer knowledge, or maybe to let a play go, or maybe to say, hey, he just did this to his neck. It's not like he choked him. It's not a choke, yellow card. You know what I mean? I've seen worse. So then
Sure, but this
again,
is MLS. Like, you get a red card for
right?
sneezing on someone. So
Exactly.
and the ref is not consistent. I think that's the other
Right.
thing too. And
Right.
I think Oscar's a lot of his frustration was because he probably mainly just saw the push on Cesar and then the scuffle. Like, I don't think he can see the choke. And I
And then
honestly believe that's, and I don't know if you got that impression too, Luis, but it seemed to me like Oscar got sent off because he was trying to find out why
yeah,
Cesar got sent off, and the
he was
fourth
trying to find
official
out.
took that as like you're trying to argue the fact. But I think Oscar genuinely didn't understand what had gone down.
No, what the guy told them,
Yeah.
the linesman told them is, you are not supposed to descend in this area of the pitch.
Yeah, then that's why he got sent off, was because he was out of his box
Right. And
for
but
going and talking
Delia,
to the fourth official.
right, but Delia, whatever,
Yeah.
Darla, whatever his name is,
Ronnie Dahlia. Whatever.
Ronnie Diley, this dude was out of position too.
Yeah,
So
no, he was the one more aggressively. Like, if
right.
you watch the highlights back, and obviously we weren't in the stadium, so if anybody was in the stadium and saw this like live action and has some input, we'd love to know
Yeah, I
more.
would love to
But
have you over.
from when the camera cuts there, you just see Ronnie Dyler like in his face, and then you see Oscar like reacting to that, like players are reacting just like Schlitz and Cesar on the field, right? And then all the fourth officials surround Oscar. Nobody's paying any attention to Ronnie Dyla, and then they send Oscar off for being out of his box. But also Ronnie Dyla's out of his box, and like Oscar said in the press conference. This happens all. I watch how many games, Luis, do you watch? And they're out of their box all the time.
They're in their all the time.
Every single manager that comes to our stadium is out of their box all the time, and I get really pissed off about it. And they never do anything. It happens in NWSL too all the time. They don't do anything about it ever. So they just wanted to send him off because they didn't like what he was asking, and they used that as the rule. But no one does that rule. So I'm with Oscar. Like, it's unjustified and stupid.
Yeah, to me, it's BS. And not only it's
fair
BS
is fair.
because,
why is Dylan not red carded too?
And not only that, the Portland game, your homeboy right here, cussing up a storm. He was cussing up all the ref.
He barely shook Oscar's hand. He was saying F this to the fourth official on the way out. Yeah, he was swearing to everybody as he left.
So what I'm trying to say, pro referees, I understand you guys, fine, the coaches, find the players because you guys don't want to be wrong, and that's understandable. I've never seen that before when it comes to that, but whatever. I'm not going to change how things work in U.S. soccer. But come on, man. I mean, if it's a law for some, it has to be a law for everybody fairly.
Yeah.
Now, point taken. Orlando in the first half had like 3 extra chances that they missed.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying we lost this game because of the ref. We lost this game.
I'm not saying that either.
César did a stupid move, and then we had to panic defend for the last 10 minutes.
Right. Now, Ramiro Enrique. Obviously there was a quick equalizer. Miranchuk, found the back of the net. He had a sloppy bounce shot in front of Pedro. And obviously that was going to be a penalty either way because it really hit Rodrigo Schlegel's arm.
I see people were blaming Schlegel for that. If you go back and watch that man, he literally, the ball bounces off the floor and hits his arm in like a millisecond. What do you like? He's out here. You want him to be in the box like this all the time? Some defenders do that, but you don't have much balance if you're walking around like this. So I don't think it's very harsh to blame Schlegel if it was given as I think there's a lot of luck in that one for Atlanta, really.
I'm still waiting for fans versus press soccer match game at Inter&Co Stadium. I want to see you. You that say that it's so easy. It's so easy. You. I want to see you press against fans. I want to see you. Face me. I'm a defender. I'm kind of like, what's his name? The bald guy, the Frenchman. You remember our first center back?
Yeah.
I forgot.
William Gallas?
No. The first, the center back, our first center back, man, in the MLS.
Oh, you're talking about Orlando City French center back. Aurelian Collin.
I'm like Aurelian Collin, man. Boom. No, I'm just kidding. No. Aurelian Collin. No. But honestly, like, all jokes aside, I mean, Orlando had this under the bag. I mean, they punished early. They got the quick equalizer. I think Rodrigo has improved tremendously from a season ago that everybody was asking for everybody to be out of the team. I think Rodrigo has turned around tremendously. I wouldn't say this was a 9 out of 10 performance, but I'll probably give him a 7, a solid 7. I really think he's improved tremendously. I think his stamina, his quickness has improved. And this is one of those things, just like you said, John. Now in modern soccer, there are strikers and wingers and even midfielders that, Carlos Hill was doing that all along. He was looking for a penalty of a handball for Orlando City almost the whole entire game. Lucho Acosta used to do that all the time too. What's his name? The guy from the place in River Plate now, used to play in Austin. There's the former striker. He used to do that all the time too in the West, trying to look for, lobbing the ball so it hits your hand. Drusy. And then, Drusy. Yeah. Everybody calls penalty. Hey, penalty. And then, they go into VAR, shows he hits the, the arm, and then it's a penalty.
Yeah. There
You know,
was, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So after that, I felt like, it was a quick equalizer. It lasted like less than, I think, um,
We had like, yeah, 10, 15 minutes where we
yeah,
were one
mhm,
up.
yep.
And then
And
we're
then after,
going, Enrique's goal. So we're
yep.
going in at halftime 2-1. They defensively are not that good, honestly. It was, I think, a few things. One, don't underestimate how many games we played this month. And I really, as much as people said it's like excuses, and Oscar said that would be an excuse as well. I think it impacts the play, whether you want to call it an excuse or not. We are not, you can tell the boys are tired. They're tired physically, and also, Luis, they're tired mentally. And I feel like that last 20 minutes, we just, collapsed mentally. And I think that's probably due to a lot of the fact that they're doing back-to-back games every 3 days. They've got to prepare and, be ready for the next opponent. Usually they'd have like a week most of the time for that. So they've been doing this back to back to back. And Oscar hasn't been rotating a lot, especially the back line. So I feel like the second half, when we're at 2-1, it's kind of similar to Portland with the second half. I just didn't think we were going to go and try and chase the game as much because of tired legs. And we're going to sit in a little deeper. And it would have worked. Like, it was working. And then Cesar. So I feel like we are not right now, Luis, playing like all out attacking soccer for 90 minutes. And
Yeah.
that's just mainly because we're playing so much. I don't think Oscar wants to be
And
attacking all the time because we're too tired to do that.
plus, we're gassed. I mean,
Like, no, it's
I mean,
nine MLS games and 2 Open Cup games in May.
those guys are not even going out with their wives. That's how gassed they are. They go, they
They
come
look
home,
they look
they
exhausted.
they look at social media, they eat their cereal, they say their prayers, they kiss their babies, and then go back to work. So, it's gonna be May, and unfortunately, it's like that. Something's got to give. This is not like, we're not Liverpool, we're not Chelsea, we're not like, Tottenham.
Yeah.
They won the Europa League or whatever. We are Orlando City, and I think overall, I mean, let's talk about the missed opportunities because look, Orlando had the chance to put out the game again for multiple times, and I think the final touch failed. Now, there's a lot of reasons why. I'm going to give you a couple. Now, again, I'm not saying that this is the reason why in it itself. I'm asking you guys, I'm telling you what I believe it is. I think also playing in turf is detrimental. I mean, that is a turf. It's turf, guys. So you have to also understand this is a turf pitch. And so again, but this has been coming on, and it's more apparent. It was more apparent now. Ivan Angulo had a beautiful pass to Ojeda, and he picked his head up and then passed it to Ivan Angulo, passed it to Ojeda, and then he saw Alex Freeman running through the back post run, and then Brad Guzan was right there. He missed. It could have been a sitter goal essentially. Marco Pasalic, who his left foot is his weapon. He tried to do a curl shot, kind of like cutting through the middle, and it hit the post, you know. And then Ojeda grabbed the rebound, and then boom, it blasted off. So there's a couple of chances that Orlando could have been up like 4-1 by the end of the first half, John,
Yeah.
and that would have been a whole different story.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We didn't get that third goal, and we left ourselves
Mhm.
with the 1 goal disadvantage, and then the whole game changed in that last 20 minutes. It was really 2 different games, in my opinion. I feel like if we hadn't have got that red card, we probably would have won Star out the game. Maybe would have conceded 1 and got a draw, but I didn't see us dropping, the points like we did.
Now,
I also think there's the handball, the very last minute of the game that a lot of the players are complaining about. I actually don't think that was a handball because the guy's arm is like literally right in front of his chest. So that per the rules,
Yeah, it has
that's
to be.
natural position. So
Yeah,
they
yeah,
wouldn't have given it anyway. So I think a
yeah.
lot of
I
the
agree with
players were
you.
grasping at straws at that point to try and get something to crawl back into the game. But I don't think that was a penalty. I think the refs got that one right. Um, but yeah, man, it was very disappointing, and I understand the like emotional reaction from the fans, like completely. Like we're all frustrated and annoyed because we should have won that game. But I think sometimes the emotion just throws logic out the window, Luis. Like we went into this
No,
game 12 unbeaten.
yeah,
We
yeah,
lost 3-2, by the way. We didn't lose
yeah. We didn't
4-0.
lose
We didn't get
exactly.
blasted out. And that's this month. Like we only lost a Nashville 3-2. The games we've lost have been tight games that could have gone either way with reffing decisions that probably affected them, both of them. So I think the overreaction is a little bit unnecessary in my opinion.
We look. I don't look. I mean, look. I know people are gonna hate me what I'm gonna say, and I don't know if the club is listening or whatnot. But it is what it is. A lot of passive aggressiveness, man. It's like toxic girlfriends. It's like a toxic girlfriend. Like kind of like the Katy Perry song, "Hot and Cold," yes and no, in or out, up and down, like wrong or right. It's like Jesus, like come on, man. My 7-year-old, it feels like she knows what she knows how to look at the glass half full, and with being reduced 10 men, and after that BS by Cesar, which he was at fault on 10%. Whether he touched his neck, that's what I think he did. The Atlanta tie, it seemed like it was coming because the way they were coming in, coming in, and they were sequencing very well. Delia, I think he's not a bad coach. I think he was able to grab hold of the possession of the game. Now here comes again everybody saying, Edward Tuesta, we need him. Without him, we're nothing. Man, what's happening? Edward, I love you, man. Mwah. I want to kiss your babies, man. Edward, my boy. And Edward made a mistake, too. He had a massive turnover that ended up with Fiare with the third goal. And the way he was like crucified, bro, to me it's like, yo, this is insane. This is either we're living in an era, or I'm getting too old, or I mean, because Edward Twista 48 hours ago was it was you know it was the president, it was Jesus the president or whatever, and then boom, Edward Twista, man. Without Edward Twista, we trust. He will. People will say, "Oh, he will control our attack. We move our attack through Edward. Without Edward, our attack doesn't work." Right or wrong, John?
Yeah, no, I mean it's yeah.
And
He
now,
killed it. He killed it last game. I didn't think he played that
and then,
badly in
and
this
then,
one.
and
One
then
mistake
Edward
and
now
you're
is being
murdered.
murdered. Edward now is being murdered. He's saying, "Hey, I don't want Edward to play ever again. Edward cost us the game." Like, come on, man, guys, come on, like seriously. Like it's insane. But now Edward, took control of the ball in the 94th minute. He could have made a simple decision just to clear the ball. And unfortunately, he tries to do the whole grabbing the ball, turning around, trying to look for that pass, and it resulted in a turnover. And unfortunately, Thierry was right there, and he capitalized. I mean, there's really nothing else to say
Yeah,
about
I mean, how
that.
many other moments did we not clear the ball? That was just the one moment where someone didn't clear the ball and they scored a goal. So I think, I mean, like I'm blaming Cesar for the fact that we lost this game, but am I gonna say get him out the squad and never play him again? No, because that's ridiculous. He's a very good midfielder. I
That's what
want
I'm
him out
saying.
there. Yes, occasionally he might lose his head and do something stupid, but like we said, these are human beings. Things are gonna happen whether you like it or not. Sometimes stuff happens and we lose a game. Like that's the thing that amazes me. we lose one game, and so many people decide
It's like
that it's the end of the world, and then
then
we win
fuck.
a game, and you wanna celebrate so that cows come home. I think sometimes the reaction, whether it's good or bad, just needs to be a little bit more
No,
tempered and logical. But
and it's just
go
the
off if
point.
you want to go off, I
And it's
guess.
just the point of just looking at how the season's going, John.
I mean, I think anybody who's calling for Oscar because of that loss doesn't understand the team and what we're doing this year, or doesn't
I
understand the fact that our academy is becoming very good because Oscar's been here for 4 years. Like, anyway, that's a whole other rant.
that's a whole other. But what I'm saying is, like, guys, we're still top 5 in the MLS in the East. We are looking really good. I think the players that we have are capable. Now we're going to have this break after the Chicago game. We're going to have this long break. They're going to be able to heal. And then and this is when Orlando, usually the past few seasons, right, John? The June, the season starts in June, right? That's when Orlando knows how to play the rest of the season. They've been doing it for the past 2 seasons now.
Yeah.
I think everything's going to be fine. I think we're in a really good position. Yes, it's not third. We could have been third if we would have had a win, for sure. But all right, S happens. There were gassed legs, mistakes like the Atuesta mistake, like the Cesar mistake. You know, some of the substitutions too. I believe Oscar substituted Duncan maybe a little bit too late, but I mean, could have he made any difference? Honestly, I
Yeah.
think.
I mean, it's fresh legs at a certain point, right? And
Yeah.
you gotta make those changes. I didn't really think there was anything particularly wrong with the game plan. It just didn't go
No,
our way, as we
just didn't go
explained
away.
several times for different reasons and factors on the field. So
Yeah.
we
Let's
move
read
on,
comments.
Luis. Should we read some comments?
Yeah, Carlos Mejia, thank you so much for your support. Was fuming after this game. Hate losing to Atlanta in particular. In my opinion, they are our biggest rivalry compared to Miami. I agree with you 100%. It's a rivalry game. Even Alex Freeman said, it sucks that we lost this game because it is a rivalry game. I mean, you have to understand this is a kid that grew up in the Orlando City system. He knows how important for every single fan is not to have the Atlanta people, say, hey, we beat you. We've been actually lately we've been the ones on top of Atlanta. So it's okay. We move on. Sitch Taylor, why is red card player is not a card? It is a red card. I think John was saying is that it is a red card.
I think Sid was asking the Oscar's red card. Were you asking Sid why it was a red card? Because he was out of his box
Out
in
of
the
his box,
technical area, which
yelling apparently.
is something that every coach does every game. So
It's ridiculous. And look, I know Profe Oscar and bro, he will never get in no one's face. Now, if you provoke him, just like if they'll provoke you, John, somebody comes up to you and starts yelling at you, they provoke your significant others and your family, you're gonna bite. You're gonna get angry. Right? But they have to push your buttons to a level that you're not able to, that you have to get into that mode. I think Oscar's just the same. You know what I mean? I don't see Oscar as a hothead. You know. It says Team Bedoya, the academy should be far more involved in the rotation the second half. Rest shouldn't. It's not an excuse, but also Team Bedoya. If you put OCB and they lost, what's the argument now?
I mean, I would like to see a little bit more rotation, but yeah,
I
you're right. I
agree.
mean, if we did rotate, then you say, oh, you should have played the first team. There's no winning on that one either way. And also, like we said before, up until the 70th minute, we were winning the game. So did we lose the game because they were tired? No. We lost the game because Cesar decided that he wanted to get a red card.
It's funny because if they would have put like, Solis or even a lot of the players, from OCB, and Orlando would have lost 5-1. Oh, Oscar, he's depending too much on the kids. So
I think
The club never wins here.
no, and I also think that when we looked at the amount of fixtures in May, I was like, some of these are going to be losses, and that it just comes with the fact that you're playing so many games back to back, and you can say it's an excuse or not an excuse. It's a factor. Is the point? Is what I'm saying is this is a factor. If we'd only played Saturday games the whole of the month, then you have so much time to rest and recover in between and prepare for the next game. So the back to back to back, and not only that, Luis, week after week. Like usually in MLS, you'll have like maybe one Wednesday game a month, right? We've had
Right.
Wednesday game after Wednesday game, so it's been back to back to back. They're not used to it, and it's not only affecting our team, it's affecting all the MLS teams because the depth is not good enough. It's the same thing as when we played in the Champions League. You know, when we're in Champions League midweek when we played in that tournament, and we sucked at the beginning of the year. Same thing, in my opinion. You're too many games. The squads are not deep enough, and when you get into those reserves, often the quality is going to drop. And I feel like that's why Oscar doesn't want to rotate as much because he wants to have a really good team out there to win a game. Now, yes, you could put a bunch of kids out there, like you said, Luis, but people are then going to complain if we lose and say you
Yeah.
shouldn't have played these guys. So I think he's screwed if he
Exactly.
does. He's screwed if he doesn't. Hindsight is 2020, and
Hindsight.
you can always look back and be like, "Oh, you should have played this guy," or "You could have done that." I get that,
Also,
but I think also you have to say we've had a lot of games, and only losing one of them in MLS play is pretty good, in my opinion.
yeah. Also, we lost 3-2, and it wasn't like they clobbered us. I felt like we still the better team and the
I was
better.
annoying that Atlanta's same guys are the ones that cause us problems. Like it was those
Yeah.
guys last year, Lobajanice, Moranchuk,
Yeah.
Tiare. They were the guys that
Yeah.
scored
Right.
goals.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
it shows all the money on Almiron and Latte Lath, and they're not getting
Yo,
any results from them. They're
Almiron,
useless.
Almiron looks like he needs to go back to Paraguay, man. I'm sorry.
Almiron, every time, like, did you see that one where he tried to? It was like a shot, or he tried to cross it, went way over, and then he like looked over his players. He's like, "Sorry, oh sorry,
He
sorry."
looks.
I
He
would be like,
looks.
"Dude, that was horrible. You're supposed to be our best player. Get out of here."
And latte laugh. Look at that latte laugh. He's
All the freaking commentators, dude. Was
he's
oh,
he's
he's getting warmed up. He's
look at
gonna get
us.
this goal. Oh, he's gonna get the goal in a minute. The commentators in this one were horrible, horrible. I
Yeah,
gotta say, it was terrible take after terrible take. Even when he was talking about us, I was like, what are you talking about?
and,
It was really bad.
and I will say, and I don't know if you noticed this, but um, the crowd sounds so far from like I think in the in the Inter&Co Stadium in Orlando Stadium, it sounds like more of like a soccer game. Here it looks just it's so big, so far away from the pitch, like it's harder to hear. Sometimes, and also, yeah, Almiron needs to go back to Paraguay. I think he's definitely getting overpaid there. Latte Lath, he just came to maybe go to the aquarium or go to Coca Cola. Maybe he's gonna do the CNN tour. They're in Atlanta. But other than that, I feel like we were the better team. Unfortunately, this didn't go our way. But now we have the redemption tour, and the redemption tour starts before the break. And the last piece of the puzzle in this May break, it's going to before the June break for international duty, is going to be Chicago Fire, which is a team that also is coming pretty hot right now. And with Cuypers and with all those players, what are your expectations now? Alex Freeman said, to go to your expectations, John. Alex Freeman said the way to redeem themselves out of this loss, out of this derby, is by getting a clean sheet against Chicago Fire at home. And I agree with him. I agree with him. And
Yeah.
they look very determined. What are your thoughts on what's coming up next against Chicago Fire?
Um, I think Chicago are just a very mid-table Eastern team. Honestly, I think they're definitely improved under Greg from last year, but I still don't rate them as I think everybody in the East is I think there's a lot of these mid teams in the middle, kind of your New York Cities, your your Charlottes, right? Your New Englands, Chicago are in that. Their Atlantas right now. They're in that mix. I mean, they've got 5, 4, and 5. Like they are inconsistent. They're hot and they're cold. Recently, they have won a few more games, but I don't think they're a consistently good team in MLS, and I think their defense especially is inconsistent. I think they have games where, I mean, like Nashville put 7 on them, for example, before we played them, and it was that 0-0. We definitely should have beaten them when we played them, and it was 0-0. We had the opportunities, and we just couldn't take them. So I think at home we should have enough to get the job done, and hopefully they're as tired as we are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm checking out right now the interview they did. They had a pregame post presser by Chicago, and they had Tom Barlow right there talking about some of the plans against Orlando City, and they said we already faced them before, so we have film. And so again, if the club is watching, they're gonna be checking out film of the last game. So I think tactically we need to propose something a little different.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't play on Wednesday, so
Yeah, so they're well rested.
That's against us because obviously we've played so many, and they had the full week to rest and prepare for us. I do think the heat is in our advantage. Don't underestimate that. It's really hot that now. The humidity will play a factor, and we need to be able to use that to our advantage. Also, the other thing is Gutierrez is suspended for this one. He got sent off in their last match against New York City where they lost 3-1. And he's been really good for them. He's even potentially going to have a move to Europe. So without Brian Gutierrez, that's big for us. But Bamba, Cuypers, Inter&Co, they all 3 of them played well against us last game.
Yeah, so Cuypers was wanted it.
Like I feel like we could have conceded a goal to them in that 0-0 for sure. They had a lot of good opportunities. Pedro played well. We need that, same level of performance from the back line, which we have been seeing. The Atlanta game and the Nashville game outside of the rest of the results. We've seen a lot of clean sheets and a lot of good defensive performances recently. So, like Alex says, we just need to make sure that we can do that again one more time in May, and then get some real rest.
I want to give a shout out to Yo Deportes, credited media by Chicago, and this is what Tom Barlow said about Orlando City.
All the previous games this season, it's going to be about 88 degrees. Is there anything that changes for you mentally going into a game where the climate is so completely different to everything you've had for the last 5 months?
There you go.
Yeah.
So you were talking about
it's going to be hot. So, in Chicago weather lately, it's just starting to warm up. So yeah, it'll be a little bit different, but I think when it's it's hot and humid, makes it a little bit tougher. But I think we enjoy that environment and suffering a little bit, and it makes everybody. I think focus a little bit more and really come together and fight for each other a little bit, because it is going to be a little bit harder. So, it's we're excited about it. It's a good opportunity for us, so try to make the most of it.
And Tom, just with it being Orlando, reverse fixture was not the result the team wanted, going down to 10 men in the first half, 0-0 at home. Does that, with that NYCFC result last week, it's kind of 2 things that you're trying to build upon. Does that help this team's focus? Maybe just, it's not just another match, but also you need to build on not only the result from a month ago, but the result last weekend.
Yeah, I think, like you said, last game against Orlando was tough, going down a man, but I thought we put on a good performance, and the guys really fought hard, and that was a big step in the right direction for us, even though we didn't get the result we wanted. So yeah, we were happy about it, but we're here to win games, and like I said, New York City wasn't how we wanted it to go, but we turned a new page, and we worry about this game. And
there you go. Thank you to Yo Deportes and everybody there in Chicago for the footage. Appreciate that. Sky Dream Productions is definitely hotter than Chicago Fire. Yeah, that's right. Is his next game win for playoffs? Yeah. That's another thing. We look like, if we keep winning, John, like we're going to be in the top three. We can even be in the last supporter shield still. The dream's not over, guys.
I mean,
The
no
dream.
way. We're not even halfway through the
Yeah,
season. But like
the dream.
this time last year, we were not
We were
even
dead
in.
last.
We were like fourth, like from bottom or something at this point, and then look, we end up second. So the gap to close to the top this year is way smaller than the last few years under Oscar. So I think our start has been good. We're in the mix, and I think also people underestimate how tough the East is and how many top quality teams there are in the Eastern Conference. I mean, you've got Philly, Miami, Nashville are really good. Who else is at the top there? I mean, I just think that it is, like I said, all season, it's a bloodbath, and it's difficult you got to consistently win. Cincinnati, Inter Miami are probably going to improve again. I mean, you've got teams down with 24 points and you're in 8th place. Like, that's really not that bad a record. Comparatively in the West, if you have 24 points in the West, you're in 5th place. I think that gives you a little bit more of an idea about how tight that East is and how we have to fight and make sure that we're staying relevant, yes, but a few wins and you're right up there.
Yeah, and then obviously after the break, we're really gonna have only one game the entire month at home. So we're gonna have Colorado in the Rocky Mountains, beautiful. Then we have to go to St. Louis, and then after that we come home and play against Cincinnati, and all
St.
three of
Louis
those.
with the new manager, maybe, who knows?
Yep, under new management. And then after that, I mean, it's just going to be, again, it's a roller coaster ride. We're going to be playing Charlotte, Montreal, New York City, so we have, I believe in July, we have 2 games at home. So, and then we have the Leagues Cup, which, again, I do want to say, we're going to recoup a lot of players. Like, Nico had a death in the family, and he was recovering from an injury at the Tampa Bay Rowdies game out of a knock. Then he had a death in the family. He was given, the proper,
Even leave.
like, yeah, bereavement, essentially. Hey, you can do bereavement, just go and
travel back to Colombia,
handle that. So he's coming back more than likely after the break as well. Atuesta's already back. He's probably going to be in better shape after the Chicago game. So we just got to win this game next at home. It's going to be a vital. To me, some of the keys, like you said, to win in this game is we have to defend the house. So we need to have A+ backline game again. So Freeman, Schlegel, Jansen, Brekalo starting.
Yep.
No freaking giveaways, no turnovers, no crazy arms. Just solid defending. They've done it before. So
I feel like the counterattack game is good against Chicago. I think we'll see that they will want to be like Greg is. I feel it creates an open game with the way that he wants his tactics, and I think that will suit us because I think our finishers are a bit more clinical than theirs. Although I do rate theirs too. I just think that when it comes to that open game, we seem to be the team that often wins it because we've got Pasalic, Ojeda, all those guys on the counterattack.
Now, Atuesta played a full minutes against the Timbers. Then he played limited minutes against Atlanta. I think it's great because he just came back from injury. You don't want to overload him. It's called muscle overload, and he could get a cramp and get a knock, and that's not what we need, especially if we don't have Nico and all those.
Well, it's going to be probably Atuesta and Gervais in the midfield. I imagine
it's going to be Atuesta and Gervais. And look, I'm going to tell you, Gervais has been the steal of the draft. I think Orlando City has the magic touch when it comes to draftees. Gervais has been probably, wouldn't you say he's been the best player out of the draft? I say he has.
For us?
No, for the, I mean, right there.
Oh, this year, the drafted players in the league? Potentially.
Yeah.
I have to look at. have to look at what other ones were drafted and are doing really well. But I'm not. No other player around the league really jumps out to me as, oh, this guy was a college draftee who's killing
The
it.
impact he's made in Orlando is tremendous.
For sure. I think it really shows that he comes from the French club youth system, and you can see the level of quality and professionalism that he has on the ball. And the coaching staff the scouting team did a great job identifying him as somebody, again, that we love to do this, someone who's fallen through the gaps. He fell through the gaps in the French system, ended up in the American college system, which a lot of guys who can't make it in Europe do. And then we said, okay, you've got enough about you where you can come play in MLS. And he definitely does.
So great back line, a twist on point, Gervais maintaining his level.
Yeah.
No turnovers.
Potentially Muriel starting maybe again.
Muriel is going to start, but also we need to see Muriel becoming the Muriel we've seen lately. So the finisher Muriel, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, the one with that Pedro pass 1v1 against Inter Miami. Like, we need to see that Muriel, and then obviously we're gonna see Ramiro as well. And he's been also on point. Just scoring goals, and why not Duncan Maguire as well, making an impact. So we need that finishing touch. And I think if those 3 points are taken care of, I think Orlando will have the W at home, and then everybody will be happy and everything is awesome. And then on we go to the break, and then obviously we have to go to Colorado.
We've got 2 weeks. So this is like what I think Oscar was saying the same thing, is like this is like that final hurdle in this run of fixtures that we've had to get through. One more big performance. Get the home 3 points, close out May with another home victory. Keep the
top
fans,
4, maybe top 4,
the
top
fans
3
happy for 2 weeks, and then you'll come back and we'll be away in Colorado. So everybody, I think, Luis, will, we just gotta forget about Wednesday, and the best way to do that is go score some goals and beat Chicago and leave people with a smile on their face.
And not only that, it's not just the passive aggressiveness of some people and even some outlets, but also and again, I don't know, I don't want to stir the pot, but our own Miguel Gallardo, we're gonna do our predictions right now. Our own Miguel Gallardo, guys. I don't know if I was watching and they're like, "Hey, Miguel, who do you have in this game?" Well, I think it's gonna be an Atlanta win. A tear dropped on my face.
He's like, "No, Miguel, no."
I'm like, if our OG Miguel Gallardo didn't believe,
maybe he knew that Cesar was gonna get that red card. I don't know.
Maybe this is like wrestling. This is all scripted. We're the fools, John. No, I'm just kidding. I'll say hello to Miguel. I love him.
He's always big enough. But he's a pundit, man. He's got to
Yeah, no, he has to. Yeah, he has to be that. He has to be that guy. Yeah,
he was right.
And no, Miguel is.
But you do hate to see it when our guys don't pick us.
Yeah, I drop a little tear. Yeah,
okay,
but it's okay. We're gonna do predictions. Want to do predictions? We really being really cold on these predictions lately. We have not been really.
We got like close though. Like
against Portland, Atlanta. You got close. You were closer because you got 3-0.
Yeah, it is what it is. We're gonna get some L's.
Okay.
What do you think, Luis? Chicago at home. What are you saying?
It's going to be a 4-2 Orlando win.
I like that.
I think Cuypers is going to, because of our form, I think 4-2 Orlando win. Let's go. I can put Orlando to lose.
I'm going to go with my 3-1. I'm always
Watch,
predicting us to score 3 goals, man.
watch,
Because
John.
like
This is the one you get. Watch, this is the one you get.
I hope
This is
so.
before the break.
Yeah. But Luis, as you can see, neither of us are going for that clean sheet. So as
Yeah.
much as Alex was talking about getting back to it,
Yeah.
I think right now, as we talked about, with tired legs, there's going to be a mistake at some point. And with a team like Chicago, they're probably going to get one from something we do wrong, or just they score a great goal with the likes of Cuypers and the guys they have on the field.
Yeah, and also, because Orlando was down with 10 men against Atlanta, the impact of the substitutions weren't what the people expected, but it's because they were in defending mode. I mean, they really were only going to counter if they had the chance or they had the space. They were really ready to close out the game. And yeah, puppy special, not entertaining soccer. Yeah, I know, but you play 5 games back to back, kiss your baby, and go back to work. I mean, you understand something's got to give, and I feel like when stuff given, the bow down of the U.S. Open Cup, which really hurt and it was really painful, and then this loss against Atlanta, I mean, compared to other stuff that we've given up years prior, I think we're Gucci banana.
I also want to say shout out to Edu Mosquera, who did his best Ivan Angulo impression with the last kick of the game.
Bro.
And you watch it back, Pedro's barely running. Pedro's I'm not making this. There's no way
Pedro
I'm
was
making
green.
this.
He gave up already.
Yeah, and Pedro was I'm not getting there because it was an empty net. And then Mosquera just decided that he wanted to whiff it over the bar, or else it would have been 4-2. So yeah, that one just made me laugh.
That was Carlos Rivas moment.
It was Rivas, it was Angulo, it was all of that rolled into one. And if I'm an Atlanta fan, I'm like, don't ever put this guy on the field because he can't score in an empty net. Empty net.
It's great to see that. I think Atlanta is gonna get out there. I mean, they have a good coach. I think they're gonna need to stick with Delia, and also Rob Valentino is in the U.S.
I did see
youth.
that. Yeah,
good for him, man.
That's awesome.
He deserves it. What he did with that Atlanta team, he deserved the position for sure in Atlanta. But unfortunately, things don't go your way. But when one door closes, several opens, and I think this U.S. journey, why not? We may be seeing, hopefully, in the next few years. Poch doesn't do too hot. Hey, they want to put Rob as a UN's national team coach. I wouldn't be against it, to be honest with you, because he's a man of character. He's an Orlando City legend. He's tremendous captain, one of the best I think that we've gotten. So amazing that he's in the national team. Really proud of him for sure. But John, anything you want to add? We'll be back on Monday with the double header.
No, I mean, just come support the boys on, like you said, Luis, it's going to be our last home game for a long time.
Let's make it uncomfortable for Chicago.
On these Saturday games has been really good recently. I feel like a lot of the casuals are coming out. So hopefully we have a good attendance and another win before we go into international break. And a lot of our guys go off and play for their national teams.
Yeah, kudos to Pedro Galese, to everybody that got called out for national teams. It's been tremendous. Also, I know I saw Luis Musi as well. And, Luis Musi followed me on X. Thank you, Luis. Appreciate that. I'm honored, sir.
I did have some words with him the other day at the Nashville Open Cup game. Yeah. So he's a very nice guy.
Yeah, definitely. So tremendous. And I wanted to thank everybody that has tuned us today. And we'll be back on Monday with a doubleheader. We have at 6:30 p.m. We have Loud and Proud Orlando with everything Orlando City. What happened against Chicago? Hopefully the 3 points. and then we'll discuss at 8 o'clock the Pride Pod. Yeah, with maybe in this Pride Pod we'll be talking more about the upcoming game that I think they have a week off, or are we resting the Pride Pod this upcoming week?
No, we're gonna talk about the national team from
National team.
Carriabello, hopefully.
Yeah.
Get a national team, and then we'll be previewing the weekend's game against Houston.
Fantastic.
So,
So
yeah.
listen to us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as Loud and Proud Orlando. Thank you guys for your support. And as always, vamos Orlando. Take care, guys.
Vamos, Orlando!
Have a good one.